और इसके अलग अलग कारण हो सकते हैं। तो इसका कारण ठंडा और नमी वाला मौसम हो सकता है, फ्रॉस्ट या पाले की डैमेज हो सकती है, स्प्रे द्वारा डैमेज हो सकती है, पाउडरी मिल्ड्यू के इन्फेक्शन से भी रसेटिंग आती है, और कुछ वायरस और सनबर्न की वजह से भी रसेटिंग आती है। तो जैसा इन्होंने बताया कि ये जो आप पहली फोटो देख रहे हैं यहाँ पे, ये पाउडरी मिल्ड्यू की रसेटिंग है। ओके, और इसके बाद जो अन्य रसेटिंग है वो दिखाई है इन्होंने। तो एंथनी, कैन यू क्विकली रन थ्रू द टाइप्स ऑफ रसेटिंग? मींस दिस वन इज
this one?
Yeah, this is because of powdery mildew.
Yes, that's these three top slides are due to powdery mildew, and they can occur now. You can get frost damage that does cause this type here as well, and it just kind of depends on which side of the fruit is up during those periods of frost.
Right.
So,
And the one in the middle, yeah, this one, yeah.
so
Yeah.
that is due to frost injury, and frost injury typically will ring those fruit when you
तो पाले से हुई इंजरी जो है ये हमेशा एक रिंग बना देगी, एक छल्ला सा बना देगी सेब के चारों तरफ। और जो आखिर में हम देख रहे हैं, द लास्ट वन।
Okay, so this is very typical pesticide, or if you put foliar feeds on and or pesticides, if you use any kind of adjuvant with it, you have to be very careful about that because you can burn these fruit really bad like that. When you're talking about walnut-sized fruit,
Yeah.
this is the perfect time for that to happen because the plants are the cell division is happening very rapidly. The cell tissue and the epidermis on the plant tends to be very thin, and anything that you put on that can what happens is when you spray it with a spray rig and that fruit runs down, the chemical sprays run down and concentrate on the bottom of the fruit. That's when that happens. Okay. Is you have a very tender cell tissue, and you have either fertilizers or pesticides that burn around the bottom of the fruit.
Okay. तो जैसा इन्होंने बताया कि जब आप फल पे स्प्रे करते हैं तो जैसे ये फल है तो सारा स्प्रे जो इस पे आया है वो ऐसे ढलक के बिल्कुल नीचे यहाँ पे इकट्ठा हो जाता है और ये बहुत कंसंट्रेटेड हो जाता है और उस समय फल बहुत कोमल होता है। ये वॉलनट स्टेज के आसपास ऐसी स्थिति बनती है और उस समय जो डैमेज होती है वो आखिर तक आपको परेशान करती है। तो ये हमने कुछ मुख्य तरह के रसेटिंग के कारण देखे जिसमें पाउडरी मिल्ड्यू था, फ्रॉस्ट डैमेज थी, स्प्रे डैमेज थी और कुछ वायरल और सनबर्न होते हैं जैसा इन्होंने बताया। Can we move to the next slide, please?
Sure. Okay, and this is your root rot?
Yeah, root rot. So I'll begin with the one with frost injury. Okay, the one on the, this one
is the frost injury. Yes.
Yeah. तो कई बार क्या होता है कि छोटे पौधों में फ्रॉस्ट इंजरी हो जाती है और फ्रॉस्ट इंजरी होने की वजह से क्या होता है कि जो फाइटोप्थोरा फंगस होता है उसे प्रवेश करने की जगह मिल जाती है और वहां से वो प्रवेश करके अंदर ही अंदर बढ़ता रहता है और जब तक लक्षण आते हैं तब तक काफी देर हो चुकी होती है। तो इसके अलावा मैकेनिकल डैमेज होती है, आपकी इंसेक्ट डैमेज होती है, फायर ब्लाइट और कॉम्बिनेशन हो सकते हैं कई तरह के जिनसे आपके रूट रॉट की समस्या आती है। So we can, I think, move to apple borer now.
Okay. One thing I did forget to mention is that one of the, when I don't know if it's common practice there to paint the trunks of the trees white.
Not very common, but some people do paint
Yeah,
their
it's common.
trees.
It's common. Nathani ji is common.
Okay.
Hello. Nathani ji is common.
कॉमन है। अच्छा, किससे करते हैं आप लोग?
या हाँ, जिस आपका क्या नाम है, आपका कॉपर प्लस आपका ये जो आपका लाइम आता है,
लाइम कॉपर पेंटिंग इज वेरी कॉमन।
या
ओके, गुड। सो एप्पल रूट बोरर की भी जो बात थी, तो इसमें भी इन्होंने ट्री पेंटिंग की बात की है। अडल्ट्स को जब वो स्प्रिंग बसंत काल में हैच हो रहे होते, मेटिंग के लिए बाहर आ रहे होते हैं, तो उस समय ही कंट्रोल करना बहुत आवश्यक है। और इसके बाद इन्होंने कुछ बेसल इंसेक्टिसाइड्स की बात की थी, जिसमें क्लोरपाइरिफॉस, लैम्डासाइलोथ्रिन जैसे इंसेक्टिसाइड्स की बात की है और अल्टरनेट होस्ट को सराउंडिंग से हटाने की बात की है। Anthony, do you use any pheromone trap or any kind of lures or traps for these insects?
I don't know if they're available specifically for that species, but yes, you want to watch the adult populations, because that's one of the most effective ways to treat for it is when the adults are emerging. So,
okay.
For the borer species that we have, that's typically in the spring, because the larvae can live in the tree for several years, actually.
Yes.
And when they emerge, they will come out, and they typically overwinter in the base of the trees. And when they emerge as adults, they come out in the spring. And so if you can catch that when they're emerging, is the best time to treat for it. And if you have a monitoring method for doing that with pheromones or light traps or whatever makes those things in your part of the world, again, that's a very species specific thing. But if you have those tools available, whether it's light or whether it's putting some fruit out there that the adults come to, whatever works. Yes.
Okay. And any comment on bio insecticides?
I don't know what's available in that part of the world. There might be some ovicides that are natural in origin that prevent the adults from laying viable eggs. There might be things that prevent the eggs from hatching. But once they get in the tree, they're home free.
Yeah, actually, in India there are two basic fungal formulations. One is Metarhizium and other is Bavaria bassiana.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know if any of these is being used in US.
Again, in the major production areas, the root borer isn't a substantial problem in the northeastern United States, in New York and Maine. They do have issues with a different species of root borer here. They have a longhorn beetle that is a root borer, and it's similar, but it's not quite as extensive in terms of the damage that we have here. It's a minor pest.
Okay. So let me ask the audience if they have any questions. आप लोगों के कोई प्रश्न है तो बताइए. आप हिंदी में भी पूछ सकते हैं, मैं अनुवाद कर दूंगा.
तो सर इन्होंने पेंट वाली वाइट पेंट वाली बात बोली थी, कैन यू रिपीट?
हाँ. Okay, just a minute. I'll ask. Why is it not coming? I'm waiting. Okay. हाँ, प्रश्न पूछिए.
सर इन्होंने वाइट पेंट की बात की थी, क्या आप रिपीट करोगे उस बात को?
अच्छा, वाइट पेंट की बात की थी इन्होंने, ठीक है. एंथनी, they want a clarification on tree painting. So what kind of tree painting is done in US?
Well, so what they'll do is they'll put a whitewash on the trunks up to about 3 feet. That does two things. One is it provides a barrier to insect pests, but the other thing that it does is the white paint acts as a solar reflectant, so it helps stabilize the tree temperature in the early spring. It basically helps reflect the light, which would normally heat the trunks up. So those are the reasons they do it. And as far as what they use, there's a variety of things that they use, but most of them is like a whitewash type of paint.
Okay. तो जैसा इन्होंने बताया कि जनरली ये सिर्फ कली या चूने से पेंट कर देते हैं 3 फुट तक की ऊंचाई तक, और इसके 2 कारण, रादर 3 कारण हैं. पहला, ये फंगल डेवलपमेंट नहीं होने देता. दूसरा, ये कीड़ों को ऊपर चढ़ने से रोकता है. और तीसरा, जो जब गर्मी होती है तो ज़्यादा टेम्परेचर ना इफेक्ट ना हो, तो सफ़ेद रंग जैसा हम जानते हैं कि हीट को रिफ्लेक्ट कर देता है, लाइट को रिफ्लेक्ट कर देता है. इस प्रकार से ये पौधे को ठंडा रखता है.
हेलो.
हाँ हाँ जी.
हेलो.
Hello?
ये फर्टिगेशन रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट्स, की न्यूट्रिएंट्स, उसकी जो फर्स्ट लीफ से लेकर आपका 5th लीफ तक, ये रिक्वायरमेंट की कोई शेड्यूल है?
ओके.
फर्टिगेशन शेड्यूल, हमने न्यूट्रिएंट कितने डालने हैं?
Anthony, they are looking for a schedule for first leaf to 5th leaf on root stocks.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So looking for recommendations or?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, going back to what you're looking for in the main things that you're going to fertigate through an irrigation system are going to be things like potassium and nitrogen. So if you have access to liquid fertilizers, this is where you want to concentrate your nitrogen applications. And what you're looking for within this, again, in the first early portion of the tree life, is you want to start with a recommendation. You want to start with a total of 30 to 50 pounds of nitrogen as your base, and then increase it and watch the tree growth. Because nitrogen in the early spring is the trees are going to tell you how they want to respond, and it's going to vary with the variety that you have, because some varieties tend to be much more responsive to nitrogen than others. And again, I don't know which specific varieties you're dealing with, but the main things that you want to run through your fertigation or system are going to be things like potassium and nitrogen. Potassium tends to be very expensive in liquid form, and if you have access to that, that's a good way to, it's something to think about. The other thing is to use things like polysulfate, which are, again, is a very, it's polysulfate is going to be for the long term. But again, that's not something that you can run through a fertigation system. Those are, again, I can't give specific guidelines as far as the nutrition, but if you start in the first 3 years of that tree life cycle, you're going to watch the trees in terms of how they respond with your nitrogen, and start heavier earlier in the spring. Watch how the trees are growing, and then back that off as the season progresses, because you want to have good tree growth, but at the same time, too much nitrogen late in the season, especially in your environment, could set the condition for early frost damage, because you want the trees to start kind of slowing down later in the season. So be careful about, putting too much on late in the season, but get them off to a good start.
Okay. So,
So he was saying
हाँ.
about 30 pounds per acre nitrogen is to be used.
Sorry,
30 pounds per
Nareshji,
acre nitrogen is to be used. हाँ जी, हाँ जी, ये 30
yeah,
इन्होंने कहा कि 30 पाउंड नाइट्रोजन, 30 pounds nitrogen cow per acre.
Well,
yeah, it is pound
Hello?
per acre.
Per acre.
Yeah.
Okay, right, sir.
So you're looking at probably 33 to 55 pounds per acre here early on.
Okay.
But as those trees, and again, the size of the trees and how you're running them through your fertigation system, again, if you're irrigating and you've got your drip emitters at the tree lines where you're only wetting a pattern of around a foot, that 30 pounds is going to get concentrated. You be aware of what you're irrigating, because that's a broadcast rate that you're putting that on, and you don't necessarily need to fertilize that if your drip emitters are right over the tree line early on in that plant growth stage. So be very careful about how much, be aware of what your irrigation patterns are, what your wetting patterns are, and how that fertilizer is going to be distributed. But you want more nitrogen concentration early in that plant, in smaller trees that are 1 to 3, 1 to 5 years old. You want to have a higher nitrogen input on those kind of trees than you would a mature tree.
Right,
Okay.
sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any other question? कोई और प्रश्न है क्या? आप अपने को अनम्यूट करके सवाल पूछ सकते हैं.
हेलो, गुड इवनिंग सर.
गुड इवनिंग.
सर मैं रस्टिंग के बारे में जानना चाहता हूं सर. इसका
रस्टिंग?
हाँ जी, उसको कैसे रोकेंगे हम? अलग अलग तरह की रस्टिंग है, और इसके लिए क्या यूज करेंगे?
हाँ, तो जैसे इन्होंने रस्टिंग का बताया कि 4 प्रमुख कारण बताए इन्होंने. एक पाले अथवा फ्रॉस्ट डैमेज, जो कि रिंग रस्टिंग थी. दूसरा पाउडरी मिल्ड्यू, और पाउडरी मिल्ड्यू के साथ ही बहुत सारी चीजें आ जाती हैं. तो अगर आप पाउडरी मिल्ड्यू का सही तरह से कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं तो चांसेस हैं कि रस्टिंग काफी हद तक कंट्रोल्ड रहेगी. तीसरा जो है, इन्होंने ये बताया कि जब आप वॉलनट स्टेज पे स्प्रे कर रहे हैं तो उस समय स्प्रे के कंसंट्रेशंस बहुत सावधानी से चुने, क्योंकि ये स्प्रे जो है पौधे के निचले सिरे पे इकट्ठा हो जाता है और जो ब्लॉसम एंड है पौधे का वहां पे रसेटिंग स्टार्ट कर देता है। और जो वायरल और सनबर्न है, इसके लिए, सनबर्न के लिए तो आपको शेड नेट यूज करना पड़ेगा, और वायरल के लिए तो कोई इलाज नहीं है, उसका इलाज प्रिवेंशन ही है।
कोई इसके लिए स्प्रे दे सकते हैं सर? हेलो
Anthony, any spray for preventing russetting?
No, unfortunately, I I haven't run across anything that you're dealing with. You know, the things that the reason that rusting happenings is you have a plant growth stage. There are some things that I've run across that that are stress reduction agents. There are things like I run across a couple of coatings that they want to put on the trees that you can spray on, that are phospholipid based, and they're basically like I won't say they're a wax coating, but they're a coating which basically prevents the water accumulation from going into the fruit. And I don't know if you've seen the ring around the top of the fruit at times. That's because you have corky lentisols around that top, and the water accumulates, and it causes that corky lentisol to grow more. And those are things that you can have an impact on by putting some of these phospholipid based things on. But when it comes to things like frost injury, that's mechanical damage that's caused by the fracturing of those cells in that growth. And if you get down to 22 degrees, 23 degrees, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, so I'll have to convert 22 degrees into centigrade.
Yeah, that'd be like minus 4.
Minus 4, yeah, around minus 4. So normally during growing season, we don't get that low kind of temperature. So yeah. So I don't see any other questions either in chat, or if anyone else has any question, please.
हाँ जी सर, नमस्कार।
हाँ, बोलिए।
हाँ, एक्चुअली सर मैं पूछना चाहता था ये कि फर्टिगेशन रूट बोरर में कहीं हेल्प करता है, कुछ परसेंट ही हो, अगर पर्टिकुलर कोई फर्टिगेशन में हम यूज करें?
मतलब आप
हाँ जी,
अगर मैं आपके क्वेश्चन को सही समझाऊं तो आप ये जानना चाह रहे हैं कि क्या फर्टिगेशन की मदद से हम रूट बोरर को
कम कर सकते हैं या रोक सकते हैं?
ओके ओके।
रूट बोरर एंड रूट डिजीज।
जीपी एक मिनट
सर, रूट
डिजीज
फर्टिगेशन से रूट आपकी रूट डिजीज है, क्या वो कम हो सकती हैं, और क्या रूट बोरर पर इफेक्ट आएगा?
मैं दोनों ही पूछ लेता हूँ, ठीक है?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी,
ओके एंथनी, देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन, is there any evidence of controlling root rot or root borer through fertigation, or is there any way we can leverage fertigation to reduce the impact?
Yes, very right,
with
sir.
with regard to root, so the other thing that is out there is that you can use some phosphite based fertilizers. Again, I don't know if you use any of that. Phosphite based fertilizers basically are plant health stimulants, right? And I think to some degree, those can strengthen the plant. I've never seen anything that is the most effective thing for root diseases. And there's sterilants that you can use prior to planting an orchard, for example, but those tend to be short-lived, and you only get a couple of years worth of benefit out of that. And they tend to be dangerous. They tend to be, there are some fumigation tools that they've used in these areas. Basically go in and fumigate an entire orchard with injection of things like that before they plant. Regarding things that you run through the drip system, the only thing that I would see that might be of some benefit would be a phosphate-based type fertilizer. And again, they're not technically fertilizers because the phosphates are not readily plant available, but they have been shown to have some plant health benefits. That's one thing that you could try, and that would be,
And what about calcium-based fertilizers?
So you can run calcium-based fertilizers through, if you have something that will flow through your drip system. Again, the thing about calcium is it can react with components in your water, and then you might, you have to be careful about putting fertilizers through your drip system, because if they react with your water, you can wind up plugging emitters with it. So you have to be kind of aware of that. But if you can deliver fertilizers through your drip system, I always encourage it, because it's placement and timing. With regards to apple borer, I don't know what pesticides are registered there and which ones are systemic to the tree. I would look at what's available. And again, I don't know what the local products are that are available there, but
it's chlorpyrifos. Chlorpyrifos is available here. It is registered for apple. Chlorpyrifos.
Yeah.
You mentioned chlorpyrifos. He has also mentioned it earlier also.
So what typically is done is the basal sprays of chlorpyrifos tend to be more effective than systemic applications through a drip system.
It is very effective. I endorse it that it is very effective.
Yeah.
Very effective, Mr. Anthony. Yeah. It is in India, it is applied.
Yeah.
It's being applied over here.
Okay.
But again, going back to the root rot, if it is in fact Phytophthora that you're dealing with, the management of the soil environment in terms of drainage is going to be a lot more effective if you can do things to improve the drainage of your orchards, and even locally within the tree line, if you can do things to improve the drainage in that tree line to where you're removing that free moisture, it's going to go a long ways towards limiting the spread of the disease over time. And that's why it's so important to lay the orchards out properly and get the drainage design and the slope of your orchards straightened out before you plant them.
And lastly, what about trichoderma as a biocontrol agent for Phytophthora?
I like trichoderma. I think there are benefits to using it beyond just the disease control. And if you can incorporate that, I would think that would be good. But from the standpoint of disease management, the most effective things that I've seen with these kind of diseases is to manage the environment and remove the climate conditions in that environment that allow that disease to develop, whether it's moisture or, air, drainage. Use different varieties, use different rootstocks that are that are more tolerant to it, I would say that that would be more effective.
Okay, friends, any other question?
नथानी जी, एक क्वेश्चन है मेरा रसेटिंग को लेकर के।
हाँ,
रसेटिंग यहाँ पर बताया कि बहुत से मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि अगर रसेटिंग एक बार अगर आ गई है, चाहे वॉलनट स्टेज या उसके बाद 10-15 दिन बाद वो दिखती है, तो उसके जो एरिया को कम करने के लिए, उसके जो एरिया में जो रफनेस है या कॉर्कीनेस है, उसको कम करने के लिए क्या किया जाना चाहिए? क्या कैल्शियम का यूज, रेगुलर यूज हेल्पफुल रहेगा या इसके अलावा कुछ और?
देखिए, आपको एक चीज बता दूं मैं यहाँ पे, रसेटिंग जब आती है तो सेल डैमेज हो जाते हैं, ठीक है। अब क्या होता है कि जो सेल एक बार डैमेज हो गए वो ठीक नहीं हो सकते, तो रसेटिंग तो रहेगी ही रहेगी। अब आपका दूसरा सवाल है, क्या कैल्शियम के प्रयोग से उसका प्रभाव या उसका एरिया कुछ कम हो जाता है? तो मैं एक बार ये पूछ लेता हूँ इनसे, इनका क्या एक्सपीरियंस है। सो Anthony, there's a question that will application of calcium reduce the impact of resetting?
So calcium's very important for cell wall development, and it's important to have that. So I think with regard to frost, I don't think it's a bad thing, because the stronger cell tissue that you have during that time, the better off you're going to be with it. If you have adequate levels in your trees, and if you happen to be doing any kind of foliar applications with it, not that it, I think it's kind of hit and miss doing foliar applications with it. But if you are deficient in calcium, I think it will affect the incidence of the reseting.
No, after damage, after reseting has been done.
So after it's been,
yeah.
So after it's happened, so if you look at what's happening with reseting, is you're basically forming it's causing scar tissue around that, and unfortunately, once you've had the initial damaging, like what you see on the fruit here with this frost injury, that tends to scar over. And if you can, there isn't anything that's gonna remove the scar tissue over time. I don't know that calcium is going to hurt in terms of minimizing that, but I don't think there's anything that can stop that or take that away.
Yeah, exactly what I said earlier, that once the damage is done, it is very difficult to restore.
Right, and it's literally like a wound on your, once you cut your arm, the scar doesn't go away; it's there.
Yeah. So I think we have overshot the time, and I would request Mr. Anant Kulkarni to propose the vote of thanks so that we can formally close the meeting.
नथानी जी, sorry
सर, जो आपकी जो पीपीटी है, संजय सर, जो आपकी पीपीटी पेंडिंग है,
जी पे रुक जा। हाँ, बोलिए सर।
Yes, I agree that once it is affected, then it cannot be cured by using calcium or some other nutrients. But
right,
can propinab, some fungicides like propinab or captan, can they reduce the area of the reseting?
normally they do not reduce the area, but they reduce the possibility of any secondary infection. See what happens when russetting happens, there is a injury to the tissue. तो ये जो इंजरी होती है यहाँ से फंजाई एंटर करने की संभावना रहती है, तो इसे रोकने के लिए हम लोग फंजीसाइडल स्प्रेस रेकमेंड करते हैं।
ओके, कौन सा रेकमेंड करते हैं आप फंगिसाइड इसके लिए?
नॉर्मली तो देखिए, अगर आप मेरे से कहेंगे तो मैं तो शुरुआत मैंकोजेब से ही करना चाहूंगा। ठीक है, मैंकोजेब कार्बेंडाजिम या मैंको कार्बेंडाजिम का मिक्सचर भी बहुत अच्छा है।
अच्छा, ये बार्नर स्टेज या बार्नर स्टेज के 20 दिन के बाद तक?
हाँ।
अच्छा, और लेटर स्टेज में क्या एंट्राकोल और कैप्टान, क्या ये भी यूजफुल रहती है?
बिल्कुल, ये बिल्कुल रहती है। कैप्टान एक ऐसा फंजीसाइड है जो जैसा मैं शर्मा जी से बात कर रहा था, ऑल्टरनेरिया की जो समस्या है उस पे कैप्टान के बड़े अच्छे रिजल्ट रहे हैं।
हाँ, ठीक है जी, थैंक यू।
वेलकम। कुलकर्णी सर, वुड यू लाइक टू कंक्लूड? हेलो
संजय सर, मैं ये कह रहा था, जो आपकी जो पीपीटी थी दिखाने के लिए, वो भी दिखा दीजिए।
अच्छा, ओके। एक छोटा सा पीपीटी मेरे को दिखाने के लिए कहा जा रहा है, तो मैं आप लोगों को दिखा देता हूँ। 1 मिनट रुकिएगा, हालांकि टाइम बहुत हो गया है, पर
ओनली 5 मिनट की पीपीटी है, ज्यादा टाइम नहीं है।
हाँ, तो let me share my screen then. Application window, let me come to, where is this? Wait, let me see. So wait, application window. तो दोस्तों, मैं थोड़ा सा टाइम लूंगा और इसमें मैं आप लोगों को बताना चाहूँगा कि इस समय अलग अलग हाइट पे, अलग अलग लेवल पे हमारे फ्रूट हैं। तो इस समय क्या हो रहा है, तो नॉर्मली अगर हम देखें तो